Hello and welcome back to Lombardi Sweep for Week 7. I'm Zach Bruner, Janet Wilson, Trevor Lane, and Luke Reimer are all here. And coming off Blood Ball Week, obviously a week against the Bears, big win for the Packers. That game pretty much went as expected, I would say. I guess we can go through it as we always do, but I think the biggest takeaway from that game, for at least it should be for everybody involved, NFL refs are possibly getting worse and worse by the day. That has to be the theme for that game. It was unbelievable both ways.
Yeah, like the EQ touchdown, I think was the worst. Like the pass interference, obviously, whatever. Pass interference is so subjective. But that it wasn't a touchdown? I mean, it was obvious on TV, much less you have a back judge looking at it. And it wasn't close. That's the thing that got me. I do love the Bears fans, though, talking about, well, Khalil Herbert got a touchdown taken away. Well, you scored a touchdown in the same drive. So it really does not matter. But it almost mattered for the Packers.
Yeah, I mean, I sympathize with the Bears because I think they got screwed more than the Packers did, but it was definitely not biased. Like, it was both ways. They were just bad at their jobs. It was not good at all. And on top of that, they made us wait multiple times for them to be bad at their jobs. Like, they conferenced and then they still sucked. It was just a waste of my time, and I don't like my time being wasted. So NFL needs to figure it out. They need to pay the refs more. Like, that's the only thing that needs to happen. Just pay them more and it'll magically get better. I promise. But going to the game, I don't know. It was like a low-scoring, close game. It's pretty much even across the board for every stat. It was a close game both ways. It went as expected. I did rewatch it again today. So just some notes that I wrote down. It was just typical Packer football. I mean, we spread it out. We passed it downfield, which never, ever, ever works against the Bears. And then all of a sudden we got off of LaFleur's game plan, played Rodgers football, and then we won. That was the game. It was pretty simple. Josh Myers got hurt the very first drive, and he was out for the rest of the game. And Lucas Patrick came in and magically played very good. And that made me more angry than anything else in the entire game. Because like I said in the offseason, hey, we should just play Lucas Patrick at center and not waste a second-round pick on a center. And they played just like the same. It was like nothing happened. And we could have had anything else. We could have had a starter. Because second rounds, like, we could have had a returner. We could have had a good receiver. We could have had a linebacker. We could have had a corner. We could have had anybody. We could have had another kicker. It would have been more productive than having Josh Myers on the team.
Could have had Royce Newman in the second.
We could have, like, again, not wasted my time. Make me wait to fuck up. Like, do it right away at least.
How much fun would it be to have Kellen Mond on the team right now and have 3 quarterbacks?
Okay, I was thinking this, like, is Kellen Mond worse than Jordan Love?
Hell no.
No! Like, that's why you don't draft a first-round quarterback before you need them, because we could have drafted a project in the second, the third, the fourth, like any round. And they are all projects. That's what Jordan Love was, a project, a third-round talent in the first round, and we could have got him for what we traded to get Amari Rodgers to trade up. The fourth-round pick to trade up that we wasted for nothing. We could have drafted a quarterback. It's just, but we're coming off a win. It was a good win.
Hey, 5-game win streak.
Yeah. We're good. And we play Washington, so it's a bye week. So we're fine. Anyway. Back to the game.
This was a typical Bears game to me.
Yeah. You can expand on it. It was, though.
It was a typical Bears game. You know, it was ground and pound. You're gonna fight. You're gonna play physical in Soldier Field. Soldier Field's always a tough place to play. You know, like shitty field, shitty fans, whatever. NFC North matchup. Two top dog. I guess not top dogs, but 2 rivals slugging it out. I mean, this is what I know. I said 31-13 or whatever on the show, but this is kind of what I had envisioned. Is, you know, going to be a close game, but never really felt like the Packers were going to lose this game. You know, Justin Fields. This was another game. This is like the 5th game in a row that when the other team had the ball, I was not scared at all. You know, Justin Fields is a fine quarterback. He missed Allen Robinson a lot. We talked about that on Fantasy Football Show, which is concerning. Come Patrick Mahomes in 3 weeks. It's concerning come Kyler Murray in 2 weeks.
Yeah, on Thursday.
Yeah, so there are some holes to fill. This Zach, you said the against the Lions, this is kind of a no-win game. That's how it kind of felt like to me. Is just get out of Chicago without any injuries and just get out of there with a win.
Yeah, and to your point about the offense, Zach, like this seemed like the one game that could have been the closest to the 49ers game. Their offense isn't scary. They'll run the ball, dink and dunk down the field. And what did they do? Not that until the last possible second. But, about Justin Fields, his 2 interceptions, well, he only had one. The one was overturned because Amos wasn't in bounds. I don't know if it was just me. Those were the dumbest interceptions of all time. Like, I get you think it's a free play. I get going deep. There was nobody there. Like, if you're going to force it deep, at least have somebody you're throwing it to.
Yeah, he was making a point. That was a petty interception. Like, he's just going long, be like, hey, yeah, wide receiver, that's what we need to do on broken plays when it's a penalty. We're trying to go for it all. There's no point checking it down. But then in doing that, he didn't look for a flag first, so screwed his team over.
I will say, too, in this game gave us the best Packers moment since Aaron Rodgers' Hail Mary against Detroit, and that's when he was yelling at the fans, too, I still fucking own you.
Yeah, that was good. That kind of soothed everything. Made me happy.
Mm-hmm.
I like to think Gutekunst was in the crowd and it was directed at him. That's what it was for me, at least.
He said he blacked out. He was probably lying.
Yeah, no, he knew. He might have blacked out, but he was envisioning one greasy-haired person, and he directed all of his anger at him.
Did you guys see what Cole Kmet said after the game, or maybe earlier this week?
Today, I think.
Yeah, he said Rodgers isn't entirely wrong saying he still owns the Bears.
I know. Like, I think his awareness rating on Madden just went up.
Right.
Attaboy. Yeah, it wasn't. The Packers got dominated on offense and defensive lines, but Bears secondary sucked. I think the Packers running backs played well. And that was that.
Just because I like to fire people up, that first third down sack, Royce Newman just let the lineman go right by his right. And he looked at the center. As soon as he turned, he went right through.
Zach, I'll let you go last because you know the most, so you can bring it all home. It's concerning in 2 levels because either one, he does not know who he's supposed to block, which is concerning because this is game 6, or 2, he just didn't want to block them because that's what it also looked like, and that is equally concerning.
I mean, I don't know. Like, obviously, like there's so much communication that goes on the offensive line. Lucas Patrick gets thrown in, so he's the center. The center is usually making all the calls. LaFleur talked about he got 0 snaps this week. He was on scout offense all week, which stupid, but whatever. I don't think it happened though, because it was obvious that guy was coming. You would think Patrick wouldn't say, "Hey, I need you to double." And even if he did, you would think Newman would be like, "No, I have a guy standing right on top of me that's looking in my eyes right now." Because he was coming to double with Patrick.
Right.
And it's like, oh, whoops, there's a 350-pound guy already past me. So I don't know.
He was coming to double with Patrick as Patrick had someone and Billy Turner had someone. And there's a guy running right at him.
Right. They weren't disguised. It wasn't a disguised blitz. The guy was just standing there. He
slipped right between Newman and Turner, untouched.
And it goes to my point. I think he's blind in one eye because he has no depth perception. That's why he whiffs on every block. I think he was in his blind spot. Like, I think he just didn't see him. And by the way, that's fine. Like, I get it. Just tell us that. That has to be the issue. There's no other explanation at this point.
You know how quarterbacks need like a left tackle, right-handed quarterbacks to protect their blind side? Seems like Royce Newman needs a right tackle for his blind side.
Yeah, he has a blind side, but it's like a literal blind side.
He needs a CNI dog. That's what he needs.
Give Royce Newman a cane out there. Like, let's not be discriminatory here.
He should just end up just falling down every single play.
That would do something. At least you have to get over him.
Right.
Yes, do that.
So I don't have the piece of paper that I wrote it down anymore because I think I accidentally threw it away. But beside the point, I was looking because Jonathan Garvin, his name came up a couple times early in the first half. As those who are not visual learners, the dog is looking right in the camera. Anyways, Jonathan Garvin had a good sack. I think he only had one sack on the day, but he made a couple like nice tackles. I looked at his stats and compared to Rashawn Gary. Obviously, Rashawn Gary has much more total tackles. Jonathan Garvin only has 2 less solo tackles and has the same amount of sacks as Rashawn Gary. And Luke, you talked about it, and I feel like you and Zach have been talking about it the whole time. It's time for Rashawn Gary to step up. He's just as efficient as Jonathan Garvin, who I'm not saying he's bad, but he's a 22-year-old, second year out of Miami, not a high pick, and he's not playing nearly as much as you. Like, I don't care that you have a lot of assisted tackles. You're not doing anything by yourself, and that's what we need.
Yeah, and that's funny you say that because I think the talk around the Packers verse, whatever, the Packers nation here, was that this was Rashawn Gary's best game. And it's solely because, let me see for sure how many pressures he got technically per Pro Football Focus, which is a stupid stat, but that's what everyone's citing. He got 7 pressures on the game, which is a lot, right? He had 7 pressures, 1 hit, no sacks, 6 hurries, which again, what's a hurry? Like they asked Fields after the game, like, yeah, I just felt like I need to pass a little bit quicker. That's a hurry, apparently. So he made Justin Fields feel a little bit rushed. Congratulations, Rashawn Gary. He was the top graded player on the entire defense in the game. He has a ton of pressures this year. I think he has 2 sacks. There's a lot of people who put the emphasis on pressures now for pass rushers. And I think if that's you, I think you're a loser. And what's the point? Like, what? It's not making an impact. The impact is to get sacks and to get tackles and to do that. It's like, I don't know, what's a good analogy for that? Like, getting a hurry isn't anything. And
A participation trophy. A participation trophy. Like you were there. Congratulations.
You're in a race and you almost won every time. Congratulations. You were in the picture on the photo finish, but you never won. Like that's what Rashawn Gary is. Get sacks. That's your one job. You're a loser.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be as mad about it if we didn't draft him ahead of, Brian Burns, okay, Marquise Brown, Montez Sweat, AJ Brown, or DK Metcalf.
Well, it's not just that. He has guys on the other side of him.
Right.
Like he's not the focus. It's not like Von Miller and there's 3 people blocking Von Miller or JJ Watt, 3 people blocking JJ Watt. Rashawn Gary gets a lot of one-on-ones and he has 2 sacks and it's not good enough. And Preston Smith now is hurt. We can segue this into the Packers signing Whitney Mercilus today. I'm not sure if the final paperwork's in, but they're going to sign Whitney Mercilus, linebacker for the Texans, He's been there for a long time. I think he was a first-round pick in 2012, if I am correct.
Sounds right.
He's a stud. I mean, he's good. He's limited in his skill set. He hopefully is going to be just a hand in the dirt edge rusher for the Packers, which I would assume that's what we do. The signing makes me nervous about Preston Smith, but even if Preston Smith comes back, I think having that 3 edge rusher rotation smart. And I think it kind of almost solidifies the fact that I think Zadarius Smith may have played his final snap for the Packers already, and a lot of fans haven't realized that yet. Mm-hmm. And, oh, by the way, I don't think Whitney Mercilus is that much worse than Zadarius Smith, if at all. He's a lot cheaper.
He's a body.
I've said it a lot of times. Zadarius Smith, cool. Snubbed, cool. He gets sacks. That's all cool. When has he stepped up in the playoffs? Like, I mean, regular season is cool, but he hasn't stepped up in the biggest games. So if we're all in, do we really need him? I mean, I don't think so.
He's also, I mean, he's a pure pass rusher, and again, that's fine. He's just getting paid as an all-around game impactor. Zadarius Smith gets upfield too often, then people run behind him, so he's not very good in run defense. I think Whitney Mercilus is a stud in run defense. I think he's going to eat up a bunch of blockers. My worry, and this is just a theory, so like maybe they won't do this at all, so that would be good. My worry is they're going to drop him a lot like they've done with Preston Smith, and he's nowhere near as good as Preston Smith as a football player, and especially in space. If we have Whitney Mercilus drop to defend a running back or defending coverage at all, he's going to get beat every single time. Even AJ Dillon can run past this guy. Like once he gets in space, he's lost. He is the Royce Newman on defense, except for he's actually good at something. It's just like when he gets in space, he's going to be out of position every time. So, like, quite literally, put his hand in the dirt. You don't need to disguise it. Have him come every single play. And if we do that, that's fine.
Is that where Jalen Smith's speed comes into play?
It should.
Yeah.
He didn't play a ton. Let's see how many snaps he played. That's actually interesting. 17. So he played 17 out of 61 snaps. I would assume he gets to play a little bit more, especially after how many did Oren Burks played 19. I can't say this enough. I've said this for 3 years. Please get Oren Burks out of the National Football League. He's an embarrassment. He's the skid mark of the NFL. He is unbelievably bad. And Jalen Smith can take over his snaps at least. Oren Burks is bad on special teams too. My biggest worry about the Whitney Mercilus signing, and again, I don't think they're going to use him in coverage. That would be stupid. I'm nervous because that takes a game day spot. And
takes a spot from EQ.
No, we'll keep EQ active. Don't you worry. But to your point, like EQ's been the best special teams player on the team, which maybe that's saying something, maybe it's not. It's the Packers take players off of special teams. So the special teams has been bad, and now we're going to throw more inexperience in special teams. We'll probably deactivate, I'm looking at the kickoff team right now, Tyler Davis, who's a wide receiver, I believe. So it's not like we're taking off a good player. If we take him off, I am like 90 to 95% sure we will have Amari Rodgers on the kickoff team. I can almost promise that. And Mason Crosby may beat him down there to make the tackle. Like, it's not going to be good.
Silver Fox, baby.
I think he has a better shot making the tackle than Amari Rodgers too. But like, man, it's not a special team signing. I'd kind of like to see a special team signing if I'm being completely honest. You know,
but I will
even the cornerbacks we signed suck at special teams.
What I will say to the special teams point, I know some people don't think it's that big of a deal. I don't remember what year it was, but when Phillip Rivers was on the Chargers, they were first in offense and I think also first in defense, and they missed the playoffs because their special teams was so ungodly bad. Obviously, there was a lot more stuff in play that season, but if you don't think that special teams is a big deal, look back at the Chargers that season, and I guarantee you that will tell you it is a massive deal.
2009.
Just look at the Patriots last year.
Yeah.
The Patriots last year, they were horrible, and they won a bunch of games because they were number one in special teams. Like they had like 6 or 7 starters sit out on defense for the year because of COVID, and then their offense was led by Cam Newton and Jacoby Myers, who still hasn't scored a receiving touchdown in the NFL, which I found out this week. That blows my mind. Right? He has 2 passing touchdowns, but he has no receiving touchdown. Yeah, special teams is a big deal. Kevin King didn't play. He's day-to-day. I am taking a wild guess to say that he plays this week.
Boo.
They also haven't done this move yet. I think Josh Myers could go on short-term IR, and I think he should. Not only would it free up a spot, but the Packers, he's not going to play this week. So if Josh Myers is out this week, they play on Thursday, so it's a quick turnaround. So it's not like, I think he's a guaranteed out for 2 weeks. You might as well make him out for 3 weeks and put him on short-term IR and sign somebody. I know that seems logical, and that's probably not the route we'll go, but I think he could do that. So don't be surprised if you see Josh Myers on short-term IR.
Speaking of IR, when will we see David Bakhtiari back?
Yeah, so he was designated to return off the PUP list this week so he can begin practicing. So now he has a 3-week window where he has to come back or he has to be shut down for the season. Some people are rumoring this week. I don't see how he comes back this week, and I don't see why he would come back this week. I think it makes sense to bring him back for Thursday.
Yeah.
Short turnaround. Because if he plays this week, I think he's almost definitely not going to play Thursday. So you might as well keep him out so he plays against the Cardinals.
Yeah, especially with Chandler Jones and J.J. Watt there.
Yeah, let's hope Chandler Jones is still out.
Yeah.
I don't want to see him.
What? So with David Bakhtiari, eventually coming back, what does that do to the offensive line? Shifts Jenkins back to guard.
What they'll do, I'm pretty positive they'll move Jenkins to left guard, and they'll just not start Runyon, and they'll keep Royce Newman at right guard. Yay. I'm gonna because they'll say because they already have that cohesion on the right side, and I get it. My point would be there's no communication on that sack you brought up earlier, and Turner was right there to talk to. Billy Turner's been a stud this year. Let's not forget that.
It's going to be really entertaining when Bakhtiari comes back. Nobody's like, Bakhtiari's been good, but also Royce Newman has been a lot better. And it's because he's like the little brother that the big brothers have to help with his homework and stuff. It's going to be like, well, about that, he can't block anything.
Horrible.
After last game, I think we talked about Janet could get a sack. I think Janet could get 6.
Yeah. She'll at least get some hurries, and that's a successful day.
Yeah. Makes him throw quicker.
What is it with the hurries? It makes me feel like the tripping penalty. Like they're just coming up with anything now.
Yeah, what's happening with tripping? I feel like I've never heard of it to this year. Rodgers gets tripped once, and now like 20 people are just sticking out their legs.
I don't know.
What's the difference of sticking out your leg compared to sticking out your arm and someone tripping over your arm?
That's a great question. I mean, it doesn't.
It's a great question that the refs wouldn't even be able to answer. They wouldn't be able to answer it either. The refs wouldn't.
Isn't the goal of defense to trip up an offensive player?
Yeah, that's exactly why I don't understand it at all.
What does more damage, reaching on, grabbing somebody's face mask, or tripping them?
Right. Or launching your shoulder into a head of a defenseless receiver over the middle.
Yeah. No, we don't want them to misstep and trip. Dear God, they could fall. That could be terrible. Other thing I really got from press conference and stuff, it sounds like Matt LaFleur wants to get Kylan Hill more involved on the offense, which I think is good. I think he's a stud. I think we all believe that. He's been the kick returner. It's not I don't think he's a great kick returner. I just think he's a really good running back. Probably should get more involved. It's just, again, I think he should get more involved than A.J. Dillon. A.J. Dillon's a second-round draft pick. Kylan Hill was free in the 7th round. That's why we don't draft running backs in the 2nd round either. What are we doing? It's so stupid.
A.J. Dillon is my flex, so I'd rather not do that. But I like Kylan Hill. We gotta have somebody better to return kicks, right? Can we just hold open tryouts? Can we hold open tryouts? Is that bad of a thing to do? Granted, in Green Bay, it's not going to get you much success, I don't think. But, I mean, you just come down to Milwaukee and do that, I guarantee you could find somebody.
We could have signed Cordero Patterson in the offseason.
DeAnthony Thomas is still a free agent.
He's better.
Mm-hmm.
He's for sure better. I don't know, man. I don't know. Special teams is fully ignored on the Packers. They're like, hey, we got Mason Crosby. Don't need to worry about the special teams. And that's now you got to worry about Mason Crosby. So now what are we going to do?
I always think if you really want to see how poor the Packers are, you look at the special teams. That's how poor we are.
I was with the state because Wisconsin special teams sucks too.
I was surprised to see Randall Cobb not even log a catch this week.
Let me look how many snaps he got because it wasn't many.
It didn't feel like he played very much, which it feels weird that he has big games, doesn't play, and then they'll play him a lot. I don't think they're going sincerely for matchups because they don't really have anybody else.
He played 23 snaps, ran 15 routes, which surprises me. I thought it was, like, quite honestly, I thought it would have been like 10 snaps or so. Yeah, not even a target. Which means, well, where is he ranked for wide receivers? Amari Rogers played 6 snaps. Equanimous played 12. Juwan Winfrey apparently was active and played 2. How pointless. Why? I love Juwan Winfrey. I think he's very good. He doesn't play special teams, so he's active. But man, I hope he killed it on those 2 plays. One was a run blocking play, so we got to bid the run block. Juwan Winfrey is like 5'8". What a point!
He's shorter than me.
I
will say, like, talking about wide receivers,
He's my height.
I don't know about. Yeah, it's close enough. I will say about the wide receivers, I was really happy with their call to do it looked almost like an option little flip pass to Lazard for their first score. Like, obviously, you have really good weapons in Rodgers and Jones and all those guys. It was nice to see something different, like change it up. Because obviously, we're 55% in the red zone. Something's not clicking. Go with a little, I don't want to say trickeration because it's really not that. But, I mean, seeing a different look, Rodgers, smartest quarterback in the league, might as well utilize that.
Yeah, I mean, just put people in motion down on the goal line. That's all you got to do. We saw it with that Devontae
Jalen Ramsey
route, I think. Yeah. It was the
playoffs.
Oh, no. I mean, like this year, he like motioned to the right and then kind of ran a whip route to the left, and he's, walked in. Like stuff like that. I like the touchdown, the shuffle pass to Lazard because it brought a nice moment from Packers Twitter talking about how they've built that play off of the jet motion that they've run 2 other times this year on the goal line. And the plays they showed, it was different formation every time, a different wide receiver in motion every time. So, no.
Just going off of that motion on the goal line. Obviously, we don't have anyone, with the speed of Tyreek Hill, but the Chiefs at points run Tyreek Hill 3 times back and forth before they snap the ball.
Especially on the goal line, like when you do that, put people in motion, you can see if they're in man or zone. And a lot of people run man on the goal line because they're blitzing and just have people responsible for one person. At that point, then Rodgers at least knows what's going on if they're playing zone or if you just cross people and find the open guy. It's all you got to do. It helps the quarterback out a lot.
And it can get Juwan Winfrey some run. If you're going to play him, at least make him run 3 times.
He's quick. He actually would be really good for that. Even Marquez Valdes-Scantling could be interesting in something like that. Not that we ever need to give it to him, but just his speed sort of at least makes people think. Anything else before we talk about the matchup against Washington this week?
Shout out Kenny Clark coming in clutch when we needed him. I think Fields on the second sack didn't help himself rolling out to that side, but I mean, that's kind of what you expect from a rookie quarterback. Kenny Clark, the defense goes with him. That's why I think this Mercilus signing is huge. Like you said, if he puts his hand in the ground, more pressure, we see what pressure does. And if Kenny Clark, if they stop double teaming him, I mean, the way he's playing, it's over.
Yeah, I mean, you won't like it, even though you kind of switched your tune on him. Like, Dean Lowry was moving bodies this week, too.
When he made that sack with, like, the one arm or whatever, I was so mad because it was such a nice play. And I had to say, good job, Dean Lowry. And I did. And I felt dirty. Saying it. But he did, man. Slow white guy can grab and pull down. And that's still pretty much it. But good play.
It was a good play. Moving on to Washington, I think there could be a lot more of that. Washington's offensive line isn't good, first and foremost, but they're also really beat up. Looking at today's injury report, their rookie, Sam Cosmi, did not practice because of an ankle. It may be better if he does play, to be completely honest, because the dude sucks at football. Charles Leno, tackle. They're saying it's rest, so it looks like he's going to play. Brandon Scherf, though, he's a guard. He didn't practice, didn't play last week. He might, like, if I'm ranking guards in football, he's for sure top 3. he might be number 2. He's a really, really, really good player that's just sort of been lost because he plays for Washington. But the fact if he's out, I mean, that specifically helps Kenny Clark and Dean Lowry and the interior guys. And if you can collapse the pocket on the interior, just straight back, that makes inexperienced quarterbacks, makes any quarterback super uncomfortable. Heineke's already made enough bad decisions. It's going to be very nice if all these injuries hold up, I guess, if you want to put it that way. But if their offensive line is missing Scherf in particular, we could see Mercilus get a sack this week. I'm assuming Preston Smith doesn't play. We could see I would be willing to bet Rashawn Gary gets multiple hurries this week, which is pretty good. Like Heineke better prepare to be rushed. Like, you're muted, Trevor.
Damn it. Do this every time. Will he be outplayed by Garvin again?
Probably. Garvin's good. Like,
I'm not saying he's not. It's just for where you
Right.
draft him and for how many years he's had, what are we doing here? He's also
Was
only
Garvin
22, which is mind-boggling.
Was Garvin a 7th rounder?
I think he was.
I think he was,
He was
because I
late.
said I was making a point that Gutekunst's best draft pick came in the 7th round 2 years in a row. Yep, 7th round. Pick 24 in the 7th round 2 years ago. And that's legit. We nailed the 7th round, so watch out, because we will do it every time. Looking at the Packers injury report, for players who didn't practice today, Wednesday, that's Dennis Kelly, Josh Myers, Darnell Savage, Preston Smith. Preston Smith is an oblique. Darnell Savage is concussed, so you really can't put any timetable on it. Who knows? Josh Myers, they're listing it as a knee. In the game, I thought it was an ankle, so who knows what that injury even really is. Dennis Kelly. And I guess they didn't list Jair Alexander, but obviously he didn't practice either. They're now saying that it might not be that he may not get surgery and that it's healing. I don't know. He's going to be out at least 3 weeks, and we could have put him on short-term IR. So that's going to be the situation there. I expect him to come back. It's going to be a pain threshold thing. Whatever. Kevin King's limited day-to-day with a shoulder. LaFleur called it day-to-day, so he's probably going to play this week, which means he's probably not going to play Thursday because he'll be hurt with another shoulder or head injury. Which,
to be fair, he is
thing to look
limited
forward
on
to.
the field as well. So
that's
Probably-
very true.
Probably for the better that he plays this week and then doesn't end up playing on Thursday.
True. I'm scared of Heineke. Say what you want about Kyler Murray, but Heineke can move. So we need Kevin King for that game.
And guess who doesn't have a great song? Kyler Murray. Taylor Heineke does.
Yet, Trevor.
True.
Who
That's
knows?
true.
It's going to be tough. I'm not making a song about Kyler Murray. Screw that kid. Don't take that out of context. Equanimous practiced. Not much else. I don't know. Like, this game is so lackluster. It's so boring. Anything that gets Washington involved, it's boring. Their front defensive line's really good. Packers are going to get bullied on the offensive line again. Rodgers is going to get sacked a couple times. When he's not sacked, he's going to bomb it to Devontae, who's going to somehow be 15 yards wide open. It's going to be the same thing as last week, in my opinion.
That's what I was going to bring up about the football team's defensive line, is that the football team, they came in with like one of the best defenses in the league, right? Everyone was hyping them up, and they just flat out sucked this year. What better way to get a defensive line going than lining John Allen over Royce Newman, or having Chase Young come off the edge? He's going to end up being one-on-one because Royce Newman's going to need help with Montez Sweat or John Allen or whatever.
I hope Royce Newman is wearing yellow pants so that they can't see when he's pissing himself at the line, seeing these dudes ahead of him.
No, they're
Or maybe he'll just whiff. It's possible too.
the Packers are in their 50s uniforms this week.
So brown pants, even better.
Oh, it's all green, aren't they?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of injuries on Washington's side of the ball.
Yeah.
We talked about this in the show before. Antonio Gibson hasn't practiced. He has a shin injury. Dean Lowry's going to be hunting shins out there if he does play. So, man, and then Curtis Samuel's probably not going to play. Cam Sims probably not. Ricky Seals-Jones apparently didn't practice today. If he doesn't play,
No.
they don't have anybody, man. De'Ami Brown is limited. Terry McLaurin didn't practice.
I mean, this should, like you said, this is kind of like the Bears game. This should be like the Bears game, but worse for Washington. Like, if the Packers, again, I mean, I feel like we have to say this a lot because our offensive line is bad, but if the Packers dink and dunk, kind of like San Francisco, this is going to get out of hand really quickly. And, like, what is Washington going to do? Like, yeah, Kevin King might play, but he doesn't have to guard anybody. So it really doesn't even matter.
I mean, this should be the easiest game of the year.
Yep.
It should be. Will it? I don't know. If I had to guess, and I guess we can get into predictions, I would assume the Packers get up early, start running the ball. Washington stops the run because if they can just focus on one facet of the offense, their defensive line's good enough to just stop the run. Packers will panic. Washington will get a couple of big plays. They'll get back into it. Rodgers will finish them off. Tale as old as time. Right now, the Packers, it helps that the Packers are at home. I will say that. Packers are favored by 7.5 points. The over-under is at 49.
It seems like a lot.
Feels like way too high. That's concerning because that only means Washington's going to score. That's the only thing that means.
I'm going to guess that Vegas is predicting the Packers to put up at least 35.
Yeah.
Really quick, I just need to see where all the public money is at because I might have to put a very large bet on Washington, and I don't want to do it.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Because
I
I was the closest on I was the
Ooh.
closest on the pick last week. I'm going to be the closest again.
Right now, Washington has 62% of the money. They have sharp action, but sharp action hasn't been super sharp this year. But if they have 62% of the money for people who don't know betting, sportsbooks are only in business to make money. And if most of the money is on Washington, usually that means the Packers bet's going to hit. So, hey, feel good, Packer fans. Maybe that means good things this week.
Do you want to get into predictions?
Let's do it. I'm going to predict. That's pretty close last week, I think. I'll go Packers 27. That seems high. I'm going to do Packers 27, Washington 17.
I'm going to go Packers 31, Washington 13. I think the Packers score 14. Washington scores once. It's kind of close for a little bit. Packers get to, 30. Washington scores late.
24-7 for me, Packers.
30-10 Packers. Yeah.
Hope so. Quite honestly, it should be the easiest game of the year. Especially with the injuries, it really should be.
I will, just to add one more thing for our defense. We talked about him a little bit in depth last show about J.D. McKissick. I guaranteed him 50 yards receiving, 50 yards rushing. This feels like a Jalen Smith game if he can stop J.D. McKissick, because it seems very obvious that they're going to have to use him a lot. So I'm going to be very interested to see how we got Jalen Smith for his speed, his potential, whatever, yada yada. Like, this is his game to shut down maybe Washington's number 2 offensive player this week.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully the Packers trust him enough and think he knows the offense enough, I guess. If it's not him, it's going to be Oren Burks, I guess. Especially because I would assume, again, we're assuming Savage is out with a concussion. But if Savage is out, that probably means Henry Black is playing safety instead of being that box safety. Put it lightly. That's where the big plays for Washington's going to come from. Regardless if Kevin King plays or not, that's where it's going to come from. Yeah. I don't think Savage is an unbelievable safety, but Henry Black is unbelievable in the wrong way for sure.
So, if you don't mind, let's go the opposite way and start with Janet. Who's MVP of the game?
I'm going to choose Campbell just because I think he's still hot and he's on fire right now. So I think he's going to keep it up.
I'll go Jalen Smith for the reasons I just said.
It's going to be the first game I've been at in a while, so it'd make no more sense than for Dean Lowry to have the game of his life. So, Dean Lowry.
I'll go Aaron Jones. It feels like there's no shot for A.J. Dillon in this game, in my personal opinion. He's not fast enough, and if he gets Chase Young on him, Chase Young is going to pick him up and throw him into the opposite end zone. So it seems like it should be a smaller, shiftier running back sort of game for the Packers. Aaron Jones is very good at football.
Chase Young is very good at football, too.
Yeah, he's a scary guy.
Yep.
Packers need to put someone on Elton Jenkins' side because he will destroy Elton Jenkins.
This might be
fans will be like, "Oh, is Elton Jenkins still hurt?"
This might be a game too, Zach, with Aaron Jones, where he's gonna have to step up big time in pass blocking.
Yeah, I think so. It's been interesting. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say he bailed out Royce Newman at least once that I saw against the Bears.
The worry about this game, it's interesting how the Packers have taken an approach to pass protection this year, and smart. They've been going a lot of empty and using the tight ends and the wide receiver to chip the ends.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems counterproductive to go empty to help with pass protection, but it's worked. This game is an issue because Washington has two very good interior pass rushers as well as the edge rushers. So if you go empty, doesn't matter because they're just going to hurdle Royce Newman. It's going to be a straight shot. You need to have running backs back there.
I think that the linebacker that Washington drafted too, Davis, Jamin, something like that. I think he's a solid player too.
Oh, Jamin, yeah. Yeah, he is good.
We talked about him in the draft coverage.
Yeah.
He is the only linebacker on that team that's good, but he is good.
Yeah.
Man, Washington defense is bad. They shouldn't be as bad as they are, but they are.
Can we call Royce rollover Royce yet? Because he doesn't block anything.
He would have to fall and then roll to stop someone.
Yeah,
that'd
rollover Royce, baby.
Just fall. Do something.
Even like the Bears player that did that.
Just anything, man. It's unbelievable. But don't listen to us, clearly. Packers have the best offensive line in football. Ask any Packers reporter. We rank super high. Except for, in run blocking.
Can I say something before we head out?
Yep, go ahead.
If you like Zach's shirt, if you're a Seattle Kraken fan, the Crackheads merch, get it on Zach. Where do they get it from?
mysportshirt.com.
And we also have an I Own You shirt up there now, I believe, right?
I Own You. We still got the Aaron Rodgers FU tour shirt. If you hate Rudy Gobert like me, we still have a super spreader shirt available. Get that. Lots of stuff over there. Lots of stuff. But yeah, this was Lombardi Sweep. Hopefully, it's another victory, and then we will have a Thursday night game to talk about next week. So we'll have a lot more news to talk about. Boy, I'm nervous for that game, but we will see you next week.
Bucks winning the title.
Stop! It felt like my heart was going in slow motion.
Bye.